13. Hello and welcome to another of our Wild Box explanation videos in which we talk you through the contents of the weekly Wild Box. And of course this week we are already at Wild Box number 13. And so first up we have Siesta. We would have seen that last week. It's this lovely green succulent vegetable. Also you can use it as a salad, which indeed is what we'll be doing with it this week. Secondly, we have some green and also slightly not so green wild fennel flowers. They're just opening up now. Really intense fennel flavour, but the flavour is kind of green too. It's slightly less sweet than when they're open. And this is wild carrot, and it's as the name suggests, it is carroty. You can taste the link between the flower and the root. However, it's more aromatic and also very, very pretty. And you'll see there's a red flower right in the middle, which is quite intriguing and gives rise to the name Queen Anne's lace, by which this used to be known. The idea being someone's making lace and pricks their finger, and there's the little red drop of blood. Quite fascinating. But of course, both the fennel and the carrot have this amazing umbrella shape to the flower arrangement, and that gives the name to the old Latin rendition for carrot family was umbilifer. Next we have some wood sorrel, which is right in the heart of the woods. These juicy lemony stalks, and then the clover-shaped leaves with their three little heart-shaped leaflets. That's really a very nice source of that kind of lemony flavour. I often say that we have lots of lemons, wild lemons in our landscape, and it's amazing the number of succulent leaves, stalks, flowers, fruits, and all sorts of things, which when you start thinking of replacements for the exotic fruit lemon, there's plenty that you can call upon. Next we have another unopened bud. This is mugwort. It's very popular in Japanese cooking, where they call it yamoji. They do sweets made from rice flour and bean curd. But we're going to flavour some tofu with it, which again is quite a Japanese thing to do. Next we have meadowsweet. So with this meadowsweet you see kind of the passage through the stages. We have buds here, slightly opening buds here, fully open flowers there, flowers beginning to get a bit tired, and fully finished flowers. This week we're going to see this in a dessert with some cherries. We're going to make a meadowsweet panna cotta flavoured with cherries. And then lastly we have sea blight. So there's a link between the aster and the sea blight. They both come from salt marsh, which is the muddy tidal areas. And this is salty and succulent, very similar to marsh samphire, but kind of softer. I'd say it's one of my favourite salt marsh plants. And this will be paired with the tofu and mugwort. So those are all the ingredients, and obviously, as ever, this is a snapshot in time of where we are in terms of the wild landscape. And remember, none of this is in any way manipulated by human artifice. The plants are just responding to land, responding to season, responding to climate. And at this stage, as I talk about in this week's newsletter, really things are coming to their peak. You know, you look at the seasons, or at least you have to picture them in your mind's eye to look at the seasons passing. But what we really see is things rising up towards the peak of summer and then beginning slowly to go back down towards the earth. And at this time, it's kind of peaking. Some plants have already peaked, others are about to, others are just peaking now. An example of that would be those that are fully in flower, like the wild carrot and the meadowsweet. But what we're seeing is, as that peak comes, we see the tenderness which has come up through the plants, which we experienced earlier in the seasons with tender stems and so on. Now we see that tenderness moving up into the flowering parts. Beneath, the stems are now very tough. They're very wiry and woody, and that's necessary for them to hold steadily the plant aloft. And the flowers are being held up for two reasons. One is to attract pollinating insects. Others are more wind pollinated, and they're just held up so that the wind can catch that pollen and move it. But that's slightly different from what's been happening up to now, where plants have been held up so that the light could be caught by the leaves to produce the food that builds the plant. But at all times, this kind of movement towards maximum elevation is what you see through the cycles. And pretty soon we're going to move into that place of the sunlight doing a different job, that of maturing the seeds. And after that, everything just dries out and dies down. We're talking, of course, here about annual and perennial plants, although the trees themselves that are not evergreen, those leaves will die and drop down where the tree itself remains aloft. Okay, so these four ingredients here, the Siesta, the green fennel flowers, the wild carrot flowers, and the wood sorrel are all going to go in a lovely potato salad. And as always, there's a link to all the recipes for this week's Wild Box underneath the video.
Wild Box number 13.